Sicky. It was just testing. Let's just testing.
Your level.
Testing. Let's see if it works.
Okay, we're gonna start. We just looked at primer on Yitzchak Kislev. That was Moga and Tafshin Nun Beis.
What is Mugan?
It was reviewed and edited by Rebbe for release for Yitzchak Kislev Tafshin Nun Beis, 1992, and we discussed the Hasidic movement was in prison. Um, he felt and he understood that it was really a question of whether he should continue to promote this new idea that he was spreading, which was an idea that all is part of God, that there's no distinction between the world and God itself. And this was a very controversial idea because, as the Rebbe explains in this mimer, as the Rebbe explains in this talk, that traditionally we understand that we got to pray to God. And the level of prayer is the level of you're at one level, you need something, and you reach out to God who's separate from you and you ask for something. And that's always been the relationship that Jews had with God, especially during exile, where we're begging for God to redeem us. And here comes the Alter Rebbe, the founder of the Chabad movement, which Chabad is about the explanation of the Torah of the Baal Shem Tov, the revelation of the Baal Shem Tov, who was a teacher that revealed a new dimension of one reality, but he through the lens of Torah, so that the Jewish people can understand it. And the Alter Rebbe, the founder of the Chabad movement, took that and explained it through rationalism and through a defined process that can be explained. So he was explaining that not only do you pray to God from the level of prayer, but you experience God directly. You experience God in everything around you. And this was very controversial, and eventually he was thrown in prison for various reasons. And it was during the time that he was saying the verse in Psalms of Paduh Vishalom Nafshi, my soul is redeemed. At that moment, a guard walked in and told him he was redeemed from prison, and he understood this to mean that he can go ahead and he can teach people this inner dimension of Torah, this inner dimension of reality, and that this is what God wanted from him, and the time was right. And the second half of that verse is Barabim Haya Imadi, because the masses are with me. And what's going to be explained in this talk, which is the conclusion of the talk of what that second half means, that the Rabbim, the masses are with me, refers to the masses of the world, that literally mass. The physical reality of the world is not separate from God. It's with me, part of God. So that is what the real redemption is. So the Rebbe goes further and he explains, he brings down an idea that the Chassidim, which is a term that refers to the pious ones, but also it comes from the term chesed, which means to be kind. That level of kindness is at a higher level than tefillah, which is to make a request. And we say that in general in the world, when something needs to be fixed, there are multiple levels that thing can happen in. On a basic level, it happens with tzedakah, charity, or as we explain in the Chabad movement, that charity refers to righteousness, to justice. So if there's someone who's poor, or if there is an injustice in the world, the first level is simply to correct that injustice, to create equity, to create social justice in the world. But then there's a higher dimension, and the higher dimension than that is ashirus, richness. And that richness is to not just give someone what they need and to make things equal, but to include abundance, that everyone should have more than what they need and that they should be overflowing with any of their wants and desires. But all of that is lower than the final level, which we said is chasidecha, kindness. And a kindness is at a dimension above all of that, and that dimension above abundance is really the realization that there is nothing other than God. And so typically when somebody is looking for something, it's because they feel like they're in need of something and they're looking to acquire something, so they're hungry and they need food. But when they have the level of the chasidech, of kindness, they realize that everything is part of God and that their needs are constantly being taken care of with God because they have a direct relationship with God. It's not that God is separate from them or hidden from them or even being revealed in their world. Is that the world itself is God's emanation, and that He has our back. So that's the level of chasidecha. And there's a lot more that gets explained in this mimer, but that's I think a summary of bringing a person from the level of first there has to be basic justice, there has to be basic healing, there has to be basic access to a person's physical needs, which is the level of justice. Then at a higher level, there's ashirus, which is abundance, but there's even a dimension above that which can be achieved through somebody having abundance, meaning a person who reaches a level of abundance could let go of their care to a point where they realize that everything is God. But the truth is that that's not even needed. That a person can be taken straight to the level realizing that everything is God. And from that level, a person has no desire to accumulate wealth or to accumulate anything material in this world. All of material reality is godly in its own thing. The only thing left to do is to give a gift to God. Is to want to fix the world because the world is godly, and it's our gift to God that we are so grateful to give, to clean up the environment, to make the world a perfect place. It's That's the only thing left to do. It's no longer selfishness, and the Rebbe explains further that actually that level in which a person realizes that everything is God is referred to Atik, the source of reality itself, the inner source of reality itself, and that inner source is only revealed when the person who's revealing it gets rid of their own entity. They're completely batal is the Hebrew word. They're completely um, humbled before God. They have no entity of themselves. They have no desire to acquire for themselves, and from that level, they're able to draw down this dimension of reality in which a person realizes that there's nothing but God, and that itself causes a light that is so great that the whole world is drawn to it, and realizes that they have no entity for themselves, that they are all part of God, and that we are all one united being. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you for teaching me the beautiful mimer, Rabbi Yackov.
Thank you for teaching me.
All right,
Now, Moshiach now.
Moshiach now.